Hey everyone, I had a friend over yesterday, and I remembered a story that happened to me that I wanted to share on YouTube with everyone. Now, years ago, I worked at a textile area, and it was pretty much just me and him doing most of the work in this factory. And we were so busy that we really didn't have time to both go out to lunch at the same time. So what we did is pretty much took turns. So he used to ask me to go to pick up some Chinese food for him and stuff. And the reason I'm making this video is because I want to tell you two more stories about how the government and the companies are actually poisoning us slowly. Now, when I say poisoning, I don't mean in the literal sense that you'll take a spoonful of food and you'll drop dead and you'll keel over. So, what happened was I brought him back the Chinese food, and I just went back to my job. I was so busy. I just usually finished my food at the place, and when I brought him the food, I was called down to the basement to and he wanted to see me, and I was like, okay, what's up, Lionel? I said, what's the matter? And with the most serious face, he goes to me, what did you do to me? And I looked at him, and he looked like he just took like sleeping pills. He couldn't even open his eyes. And I was like, what are you talking about, Lionel? I'm like, I just brought you the food, and I'm working, doing the work. He goes to me, no. He goes, I can't keep my eyes open. What did you do to me? And I'm like, oh my God. And I realized what he meant. And I was like, oh, I said, that's the Chinese food. I said, you probably had Chinese food that had too much MSG in it. I said, that happens to me sometimes. I said, you get very sleepy. He goes, this never happened to me before. Now, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this is because it really wasn't, he was really actually mad at me. He was so shocked to the idea that the companies would actually put a chemical in the food to make you so sleepy. Now, people may look at this and laugh. People may laugh at this and say, oh, big deal, so MSG makes you sleepy. Well, let me ask you something, folks. Let me ask you something. What happens if somebody has this MSG and he's in the same state as my friend was, and he's driving, I don't know, a car or a tractor-trailer and something, and falls asleep at the wheel and crashes his tractor-trailer or his car? This is what the government is doing to you. This is just one example of how the companies, the food companies, are just poisoning us slowly. Now, that was just one example. Now, these companies actually pay the big lobbyists and stuff, and they, all the people that make the laws and stuff, like the FDA, and they pay it, they look the other way. That was only one story. The next story I want to share to you that deals with food is actually when you actually go and you buy, these things have sorbitol in them. Sorbitol is a food sweetener, is a food additive, actually, that sweetens the food. Now, I actually had a very, very adverse reaction to this. I had a serious case of diarrhea, and I didn't know where this was coming from. I honestly didn't. I was sick for 3 days straight. I had oil pouring out of me, and when I say oil, I mean straight oil. I thought I had like colon cancer or something. I didn't know what was wrong with me for 3 days, until I started to think. I was like, wait a minute, what did I eat? That was the first thing that actually went through my mind. And what it was these candies that I visited the store, and every time I visited the store, I just took a handful of candies, these peppermint candies. It was part of I think it was the Christmas season, and they had those dish of candies. And until I figured it out, I didn't know exactly what was wrong with me. And what it boiled down to was this sugar additive called sorbitol. And this sorbitol thing actually was making me very, very sick. And that's just two stories that I wanted to share with everyone. I mean, these food additives that they're putting in the food are absolutely poisoning us. They are poisoning us to the point that are actually making us sick. Now, if anybody remembers, I want to just add one more story. If anybody remembers Olestra, and that's the same idea as the sorbitol thing. If anyone remembers the potato chips from years ago, I don't even know if they still have them. But they have Olestra in some potato chips years ago. And if you read the bag on the back, it used to say, This product may cause cramping, looseness of bowel movements, and unable to control your bodily functions. I don't know if people remember that, but there was a warning on that. I don't know if they did away with that. But that was on a bag of potato chips, people. You know? So why am I talking about this? I'm talking about this because when my friend came over yesterday, I remembered we ordered Chinese food last night. And I remembered that story very vividly. And the place I order from now doesn't have MSG. They don't use MSG. So I'm trying to tell this to people because people sometimes forget, when they eat. I would think 90% of the people that are getting sick in this country, whether it's them getting sleepy, they feel tired, they feel, um, you know, they feel under the weather. It could be the food you're eating, people. It could be the food you're eating. And I'm not joking. That time I had the sugar substitute, I honestly thought I was very, very ill. Until I figured out, no, I'm not ill. I just have to watch the sugar stuff I'm taking in. Whether it's a cake, whether it's a cookie, whether it's any sugar item. You have to read the back of the packages. So if it has Olestra or if it has sorbitol, stay away from it and see if you get better. And that's pretty much all I wanted to say. I really wanted to dedicate this video to my friend Lionel because he was the one years ago that actually started waking me up. He woke me up to a couple of things, and I'm trying to wake him up to a couple of things, and he is waking up now. Some people out there don't realize, and they're still not aware of the fact that these companies, these big companies, who I don't know which company makes monosodium glutamate, which is MSG, I'm sure they're still making it and still putting it in the food and still poisoning us slowly. But they're getting away with it because people don't wake up. People don't stand up and say, enough is enough. The American people are tired of being poisoned. And that's pretty much all I wanted to say. Take it easy, people, and stay safe. Bye.